I would like to call upon stage Mr. Anil Nair, who's going to talk to us about digital transformation, and he's the managing director for Cisco here. So Anil, if you could please come on stage.
Very good evening to all of you. And I'm going to talk about the digital transformation of customer experience. So what we call CX, DTX, the digital transformation of customer experience. So when you talk about CX, it's not just the customer. It could be the client. It could be the citizen. And so let's look at it in that light. I'm going to try and give you 3 examples of the change that we brought about through digitization. But before that, let's take a look at the global change that's happening. It's a change that's sweeping the world, and digitization being adopted across the board. Let's take a look at some proof points. And you will see that it's inherently driven by the curiosity of the human being. And with that change comes a lot of change with respect to products, with respect to services, the way interactions are done, and so on and so forth. Let's take a look at products. Now, when digitization happens, it happens very fast, and whole industries destruct. They get disrupted. Now, for instance, whether it be photography, video, music, maps, it's all on your phone. There used to be big industries at one point of time. If you take photography and go back to Kodak, in 1996, they had a market capitalization of about 28 billion. They had 85% of that business. In 2007, they stopped making profits, and 2012, they filed for bankruptcy. And that's what happens when digitization happens. It happens so fast that it takes industries in its wake and changes the whole equation. Now you have hybrid products as well. For instance, if you take a look at Tesla, and by the way, they're saying that 46% of cars will be digital by the year 2020, not very far away. If you take Tesla in 2013, they had a problem with fast cars and the suspension. And with a software upgrade, they were able to change that equation, move the suspension up, and the cars could drive better. And then, of course, you have augmented products, which is that you wear a health band. It not only does the analysis, but it tells you how to correct your situation and move ahead. And there are lots of people, there are lots of governments in India which utilize digitization very well. If you see the government of Andhra Pradesh, Mr. Chandrababu, it's a startup state, so you have a lot of projects coming up, and project inspections are a big task. So how does Chandrababu Naidu do it? So he sets up drones in the air, they assemble a 3D image, and they do a walkthrough. So instead of doing one inspection a day, he's able to do multiple inspections, and very minutely come to the evolution of the value proposition itself. So with Ola and with Uber, why should you own a car? So there's this whole situation about ownership versus renting. There is this whole equation about possession versus use. For instance, if you take GE, once upon a time they used to sell the aircraft engines. Now they rent it. And there are 250 sensors there which give information back and make sure that the engine is in good shape. Whatever has to be changed is changed in time. And the passengers, therefore, have much higher levels of safety. And so you have on demand, you have ultra personalization. It's not just personalization, we all talked about it, that they know about you before you get there. Ultra personalization of products, depth of distance. Now, for instance, just imagine a school. In India, we have a huge problem of teachers. With the digitization of schools, it's possible for one teacher to teach thousands of schools at the same time. So all the possibilities. So let's look at how 3 examples in terms of customer experience, how it changes with digitization. I will talk about pensions, I will talk about healthcare, and I will talk about banking. And in all of these cases, you have real cases on the ground that are working. And the first case is pensions in the state of Rajasthan. So Rajasthan has 3 million pensioners, 30 lakh pensioners. And the proof of life has to be submitted once a year. And you know how much of a pain that is. That the person has to go to a registered practitioner and he has to get a sign-off. And very difficult for citizens as they grow older. I remember my own case, my dad, he was in Nestle and he was getting a pension from them. And as he grew older, even the signature didn't match. So there are all sorts of issues. 10% of the pensioners expire in that 1 year. So what's the problem? The problem really is that the government continued to give the pensions after the person expired. Citizens went through a lot of pain. So what was the solution? The solution was putting in place, and this is an order that has been won both by Cisco and Servion, multi-million-dollar business from a government in India, from the Rajasthan government. So an IVR, which can recognize the voice, and the person just has to pick up the phone and make a call once a month. So look at the alleviation of the pain of the citizen. And if you do the arithmetic, 3 lakh pensioners, the pension going out on average 6 months more than it should, and the leakage is 900 crores per annum. So if you do the social impact, and if you do the financial impact, and if you go to the government, and today the government is very different from the government that we had before. If you see the officers, they're smart. They want to make a social impact. So you put the financial equation to them, that there's 900 crores leaking from your system, and they want a solution. Let's take a look at healthcare. Now there's this Lancet report which gives the picture. It's a globally recognized report, and it ranks India 154 among 195 nations. So they have what is called a health access and quality index. So they look at 32 diseases and they see how you're doing, what are you doing to preempt those diseases? And India ranks very badly, as you can see. So if you look at the doctor-patient ratio, WHO says it should be 1 in 1,000. We are about 1 in 1,674. That means 1 doctor for 1,674 people. And when I first saw that statistic, I felt that that number was very conservative. I'm sure the equation must be worse. And India has what I call a 1/3, 2/3 problem, which is that you look at any part of the business, you look at all the resources, 2/3 of it are in the metro locations. And 2/3 of our population in the rural areas. Now, if you find a solution to this problem, it's a huge opportunity, and plus you're really contributing to the digital transformation of the country. So what happens to citizens? The government has got all these public health centers, and 64% of them, you have a shortage of doctors, technicians, nurses, pharmacists, so on and so forth. So it's not a small problem. The government, if I take the state governments and the central government, they're spending 125,000 crores, $20 billion on health. I think if we went to them and told them about the social equation and the financial impact, they would certainly do something about it. Now we, at Cisco, we've done this experiment in Rajasthan. We've done it in one of the hospitals in Bangalore, Narayan Nehru, by the way. And we've done a project with the army where in Bangalore we have this pod, and on the other side you have patients from Coorg in a military establishment in the area of Coorg, and they're able to do the diagnosis remotely. So you have what is called a pod, which is a multi-parameter monitor. You can look at your ECG, and you can look at the BP, you can look at temperature, and you can look at all the other factors. And what this pod really does is it accentuates both the sound as well as the picture. So in more advanced places, you can even have the health record coming up. Recently, we did a demonstration when we launched our manufacturing. We made the presentation to the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, and we had this pod set up in Nagpur in a village called Fetri, and it was very, very effective. So the Chief Minister was able to talk to the patient was able to talk to the doctor. We also connected it to a school, and the students spoke to the Chief Minister. So very effective, and the number of applications are huge. Let me take you to the third example, which is banks. We have about 200,000 bank branches in the country. Okay, and again, if you see, 63% of the branches are in the urban and metropolitan areas. The same 2/3, 1/3 problem. Choose your industry, and you will find this problem exists. One of the things that we noticed is that the product per customer ratio is about 1.6 in India, which means the number of products that the customer buys is 1.6 in India, and overseas it's 3, more than almost double. So again, when you see these statistics, it's a huge digital opportunity. It's an opportunity not only for business, but for transformation of the country. So we looked at the math. If you took 1% of those branches and you were able to convert 2% more customers in terms of the product sold to them with an average product size, which means when I say product, if you have a home loan, why not a car loan? Why not an education loan? So on and so forth. If I took a product size of 7 lakhs, you're talking about total incremental business in these branches for the bank at 28,000 crores. And we've already done this. We're working with SBI. I think Servion is working with IDFC and us. And so again, there's a huge opportunity there. At the same time, when you put a pod in a branch, you don't have to have all the paraphernalia that goes with building a branch. You can save on materials, you can save on people, average saving at least 5 lakhs a branch. And so you talk about 100 crores saving there. So the program that I work for in Cisco, it's called Cisco Digital Acceleration. We've made many investments. Like I said, the purpose of this program is to make sure that the digital transformation in India happens, and we can contribute to it in a substantial way. So these are all the investments we've made. There are 52 projects that we're doing right now, all in the space of digital transformation of the country. We have 5 innovation centers, and at these centers you have entrepreneurs who come in and develop products for us. For instance, in iCreate, which is a center for entrepreneurship in Gujarat, just outside Ahmedabad. It's a 48-acre campus. People can go there. Even if they have an idea, they will be trained. If they have an idea which they want to take to fruition, they will be funded. It's a great place. And I saw 14 projects of all types. Like there's a guy who's developing a drone where the payload factor can be extremely high, and so you can have a variety of uses for it. There's a guy making an arm, a robotic arm, which can be used for medical purposes, and so on and so forth. There are 14 healthy projects going on there, worthy looking at it. We're also invested in T-Hub in Hyderabad. In Hyderabad, they have 800-seater center, and very soon they're going to have 3,000 seats there. All entrepreneurs, and they have access to good legal support. They have access to mentors and all of that. We have 5 centers of excellence which showcase these solutions. We have what we call 5 golden miles. These are miniature smart cities where we can showcase to the government the benefits, and the benefits usually are social, economic, and environmental. And if you look at India, where the urbanization and urban migration is extremely high, you can only manage if you have smart cities. So that's the other one. A lot of investments in cybersecurity. There was conversation about that, including a research chair at IIDT in Tirupati, where we are doing cybersecurity relating to IoT. Various reports which we funded, and in terms of skills, we're very happy. We are talking about 170 ITI schools and colleges which we funded, where we'll have in a full year 45,000 student beneficiaries. Because it's not enough to talk about digitization. You've got to have capacity building. You've got to be able to you've got to have people who can carry the flag and take the message across. So we have 29 projects on Digital India, 5 on Startup India, Defense and Cybersecurity 9, and Skill India 9. So what I would say is, I would invite all of you to join this journey of accelerating the digitization of India. You will see that if you can make the social impact, if you can be clear about it, and if you can work out the financial impact and offer solutions that are end-to-end, which would defy commoditization, I think we can all change the shape of India. Thank you.
Hello. Thanks, Anil. I would like to call upon stage Sanjay, if you can please come. So Sanjay is going to share with us the transformation journey for NICE.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you for the opportunity, Samit and team. I'm glad to be here. I represent NICE, and I'm going to talk about robotics process automation, which is one of the things that you talked about in the panel. We talked about customer experience and how we can enhance that experience. But all of that can effectively be done if you have the power of error-free automation and superior and faster service, and that's going to be just look at in a few minutes. So let's look at what's the process automation. It's a simple way of a complex rule-based workflow which can interact with different applications and does a very smooth and quicker work than human beings today. And it is seamless in the same way as customer would interact with a human being. It would just be delivered the same way with a robot. We at NICE are very much in forefront of all of these, including the analytics and the automation piece. NICE has invested a whole lot of money in the last few years in coming together what we call as end-to-end customer experience, and automation is a very significant part of that. And we believe that our journey is to enable this flawless execution of process automation with human empathy. In terms of customers today, if you look at the customer agent who is serving, or the back office agent for that matter, because customer experience comes from not just the contact center, a variety of work is done at the back office. The whole service methodology is very, very complex, right? You got at one end, listen to what customer has to say. On top of it, you got to keep in mind all the complex processes, different workflows, different application, different consultation within, and of course all the rules and regulation that you have. And that's a very, very nightmarish job, and that's where you have more chances of error coming in many times, and the life of a person who's delivering that service is kind of hell. And you obviously have a lot of things to remember. Now it's human being, end of the day, right? So you have new things changing. You have suddenly this week, you have a new process coming in, so you start putting your post-its here, and these are the things that I got to remember while I'm delivering, and all of that again leads to confusion. It leads to error at times, and that's where the customer experience gets impacted very severely. What NICE does is we look at two types of automation. And let me first talk about what we call as attended desktop automation, which has a unique blend of human touch and robots together, wherein what we do is we monitor all the workflow or the screen that the agent really deals with and aids that agent in a way for all repetitive tasks. The robot essentially provides a call out and does the subsequent work that a human agent would otherwise do. So human being does the talking and all the necessarily the process which is triggered by the human being, but the rest of the things is taken by the robot, right? So all summary notes, examples are your onboarding, upsell, cross-selling, all of that. So for instance, if you have a customer calling in and a customer is not very happy, or customer has a history of bad records or anything that agent needs to know, robot would actually send out a call out on the screen which tells what action to be delivered. So if it's a retention problem, the robot would send a call out and say, please offer this, or this customer is a premium customer, or this is how you got to handle it, so that agent is able to deliver the task. Likewise, once the call is over or the process is over, then it can do the rest of the pieces, which could be toggling between different applications, filling up some forms. All of that can be done very, very quickly and saves tons of time for all the agents very quickly. So obviously the benefits are the errors go down significantly, the training time, the after call work, efficiency reduces significantly, and of course the service consistency in employee and the customer satisfaction goes up significantly. And what we offer is, as I mentioned, a unique combination of attended and unattended automation, right? So which is, one is completely automatic, another is agent triggered. And NICE is the only company which has this unique combination together with our process desktop automation and robotic process automation. So unattended, as I just described, it's agent assisted, it's triggered by certain action of the agent, and it guides through a call out or a pop-up or the different automation flows that you can have. And of course, it aids the human being. So you don't lose the touch with the customer, you're still providing that human touch that you need, but back-end work is being done. As far as unattended work is concerned, it's completely automated. It's completely workflow based. Once you have defined set of rules, it does the job perfect every time and delivers. And it is completely virtual and real time, right? And of course, you can design it and you can use a combination of both of these to deliver a much, much superior customer experience. Let's look at the benefits. Obviously, it's no-brainer. It's 24/7, increased output, because robots don't take holidays. They work all the time. They don't get tired. They don't have grievances. They don't have managing problem, and they work tirelessly all the time. And of course, they are far more efficient, right? As statistics says, 10 robots actually can deliver what 100 people would deliver. And it all depends on your process, right? And if you look at statistics, there is variety of work that can very well be done by 100% automation, which is unattended, and there are significant amount of work, almost 30 to 40% type of work in any organization across the verticals, which can be delivered through a combination of desktop automation and robotics process automation. Of course, reduction in workload, because now you're actually leaving all the mundane work to the robots to do it, and the agent is used only for the customer interactions as well as the triggering and decision making. Flawless, eliminates all the errors we talked about, and of course, lets you focus on what you are best at. I'm going to leave you with a little bit of detail on a case study, and that's the main focus of my presentation today. This is with IKEA, which is one of the largest furniture retailer in the world. They have close to about 135,000 workers. They're present in 43 countries. Very soon they will have a presence next year in India as well. They're opening up their first store. Their challenge was complex manual feeding of delivery schedules, because IKEA essentially has DIY products, as you all know, and customers do not want to carry their product all the time home, so they schedule deliveries and sometimes schedules the installation as well, which is quite a complex process, because IKEA typically is in a place in the city which is little remote, because they need large format stores, and carrying the bulky items can become really a nightmare. And of course, there is a lot of confusion and error when you schedule deliveries, and impacts customer satisfaction. So what we did there was a real-time solution which checks customer orders, automatically delivers workflow, and that workflow triggers all the steps that you have that you'll see in subsequent slides, and then customer is scheduled at the time that they are available, and delivery is done. So what we have done here is we've integrated this with their contact center. So we use the IVR at the front, and we are able to schedule the delivery. So for instance, the customer calls, and they're scheduling the delivery via an IVR. IVR creates a new delivery schedule item, finds the vendor using the zip code, because you need a logistic partner who would deliver this, opens a scheduling app of the vendor, schedule delivery in the app, and send notification to the customer. Now this, in a non-automation environment, would have taken multiple steps by the agent or the back office employee, because he or she needs to go and check the availability of the right vendor who is serving that particular zip code, and of course the time and all of that, which can automatically be done by the robot. Just by doing this, IKEA was able to process 150,000 records annually, and they saved about 400 hours of time annually globally in this. Now let's look at the other option of this. So this is the automatic delivery that we talked about. Now it may also happen that the scheduling actually fails, because for some reason customer did not provide the right input, or it was not able to recognize any of the inputs that customer gave in. So IVR is unable to schedule an item. So what it does, it retrieves the customer phone number, finds the code, and looks for the available delivery, and then informs the customer automatically by calling, and they inform. And when the call happens, there is a call out given to the agent with all the information of the customer, so that the agent is able to pick up. So as you saw, this is a combination of automation, which is unattended completely, and the interaction with the customer is left to the agent, because that's where they prefer as human touch, as we all say. Right. So the green side that you see is all trigger-based attended automation, and the blue icons that you saw earlier were all real-time RPA. And then once the customer is called and a preference is scheduled, then it actually flows through the normal process wherein an item is created and robot takes over completely. Through this, IKEA was able to process 50,000 records. As I mentioned earlier, with this combination, it was 50,000, 1,000 hours saved, and of course, tremendous amount of saving with a combination, as you would see. By just introducing a combination of desktop automation, we were able to save additional 1,000 hours by just utilizing this combination, and of course process additionally 50,000 records just by doing this. So overall savings were tremendous, and this is now one of our very, very key customers, footprint across the world. NICE also has several other customers. We have deployed more than 500,000 of robots so far, and we do have several installation in India as well, which are serving currently. That's all I have to share with you today. Thank you very much for your time. If there are any questions, I'll be around.